Hello. Welcome to Lives channel. Today we will learn about the issue of a heart-stopping race against time as Maggie Horton-Kiriakis, Sarah Horton, and Tate Black all frantically speed toward the Salem airport in a desperate unified effort to prevent Holly Jonas from boarding an international flight that would take her thousands of miles away to Paris and potentially end one of Salem's most passionate young romances forever. This nail-biting storyline has captivated audiences as three people who deeply care about Holly converge at the airport terminal in the final moments before her departure. Each carrying their own reasons for wanting her to stay in Salem and abandon her plans to flee to France. The question on every fan's mind is whether their combined efforts will succeed in convincing the heartbroken teenager to remain in town, or whether Holly's pain runs too deep for even their love and concern to overcome. The desperate airport confrontation. The airport scene promises to deliver one of the most emotionally charged moments of the year as multiple people who love Holly converge simultaneously to stop her from making what they believe is a terrible mistake driven by lies and manipulation rather than truth. Maggie rushes to the airport as Holly's devoted grandmother who has been entrusted with the secret of her departure plans. Torn between respecting Holly's wishes and believing that running away from problems is not the solution her granddaughter needs. Sarah joins the desperate dash to the airport because she possesses crucial information about the DNA test results that prove Tate never fathered Sophia's baby, knowledge that could change everything Holly believes about the situation. Meanwhile, Tate arrives at the terminal in an absolute panic, his heart racing as he searches frantically through the crowds for the girl he loves, knowing this represents his last possible chance to explain the truth and clear up the devastating misunderstandings that have torn them apart. The convergence of these three people creates a powerful united front, demonstrating to Holly just how many people in Salem genuinely care about her well-being and want her to stay rather than fleeing halfway around the world because of one manipulative girl's cruel schemes. Tate's catastrophic mistake revealed. The entire crisis originated from one monumentally stupid decision Tate made when he kissed Sophia Choi in what he genuinely believed was a strategic maneuver to extract the truth about the baby he thought was his biological child. Tate had been absolutely tormented by the knowledge that Sophia had given their supposed baby up for adoption in Chicago without even allowing him one single glimpse of the infant, and this anguish drove him to make increasingly desperate choices in his quest for answers. He convinced himself that by getting physically closer to Sophia and showing her romantic attention, he might be able to persuade her to open up about the adoption and perhaps even reveal where the baby had been placed. However, Tate drastically underestimated Sophia's capacity for manipulation and deception, failing to realize that she would immediately weaponize this kiss against him in the most devastating way possible. Sophia wasted no time spinning an elaborate lie to Holly, claiming that the kiss was merely the beginning of a passionate reunion and that she and Tate had actually slept together multiple times, reigniting their romantic relationship. Holly, already emotionally vulnerable from the stress of the dorm fire and the humiliating text message scandal, believed Sophia's lies completely, having no reason to suspect that another teenage girl would fabricate something so cruel and destructive. Holly's escape plan to Paris. Overwhelmed by what she perceived as an endless cascade of humiliations and betrayals, Holly reached out to her mother Nicole Walker and stepfather Eric Brady, who are currently living an idyllic life together in the romantic city of Paris, where Eric has found meaningful work and Nicole has discovered a sense of peace she never experienced in Salem. Nicole was absolutely thrilled to receive her daughter's call expressing interest in relocating to France, immediately welcoming Holly with open arms and promising to help her establish a completely fresh start in a sophisticated European environment far removed from the toxic drama of Salem. Holly shared with her family the exciting news that she had been accepted to attend the world-renowned Sorbonne University, one of the most prestigious and historically significant educational institutions in all of Europe, which provided the perfect legitimate academic justification for her sudden departure from town. This acceptance letter became Holly's golden ticket to escape what she viewed as an unbearable situation, offering her the opportunity to reinvent herself as a sophisticated college student studying in Paris, rather than remaining in Salem as the girl everyone whispered about because of scandals involving inappropriate text messages and destructive fires. Holly confided in her beloved grandmother Maggie about her decision to move to France, trusting that Maggie would understand her need to escape and support her choice even if it meant losing her granddaughter to another continent. Additionally, Holly swore her close friend Ariana Horton to absolute secrecy about the departure plans, making Ari promise not to tell anyone, especially Tate, because Holly wanted to slip away quietly without any dramatic emotional confrontations that might weaken her resolve or make her question her decision. Sophia's calculated manipulation strategy. Sophia Choi orchestrated an incredibly intricate and multi-layered scheme specifically designed to systematically destroy Holly's reputation, relationships, and emotional stability, ensuring that Holly would ultimately feel she had absolutely no choice but to flee Salem in disgrace and humiliation. The scandalous sexually explicit text messages that were sent from Holly's phone to Johnny DiMera were not random acts of teenage rebellion but rather carefully calculated moves in Sophia's master plan to isolate Holly from everyone who cared about her and paint her as an unstable, inappropriate person with no boundaries. Sophia somehow managed to gain unauthorized access to Holly's phone and used it to send incredibly graphic and sexually suggestive messages to Johnny, deliberately creating an unbearably awkward and scandalous situation that damaged Holly's academic standing, personal reputation, and relationships with authority figures who now viewed her with suspicion. The dorm fire added another devastating layer to Holly's public humiliation, with many students and faculty members whispering that she had been drinking irresponsibly and created the dangerous situation through her own reckless behavior. Sophia's ultimate goal was transparently clear to viewers, even if the characters remained blind to her machinations. Completely eliminate Holly as romantic competition for Tate's affections, convince the entire town that she and Tate shared an authentic romantic connection, cemented by having created a child together, and position herself as the only viable and appropriate romantic option remaining in Tate's life once Holly disappeared to France permanently. The breaking point of humiliation. The combination of multiple devastating incidents converging within a short time frame created a perfect storm that shattered Holly's emotional resilience and pushed her past the point where she felt capable of continuing to fight for her place in Salem. The inappropriate text messages sent to Johnny created an atmosphere of judgment and whispered gossip wherever Holly went on campus, with students and professors alike viewing her through a lens of suspicion and disapproval. The dorm fire represented not just physical destruction of her belongings, but also served as a very public display of what everyone assumed was her poor judgment and lack of responsibility. When Holly witnessed Tate and Sophia standing outside the pub together, smiling and laughing as if they shared intimate private jokes and genuine affection for each other, something inside her broke completely and irreparably. The sight of the boy she loved appearing genuinely happy and comfortable with the girl who claimed to have slept with him became the final straw that convinced Holly she needed to leave Salem immediately before suffering any additional public humiliations or heartbreaks. Ariana's impossible dilemma. Ariana Horton finds herself trapped in an extraordinarily difficult position, torn between honoring the sacred promise she made to her friend Holly and doing what her conscience tells her is morally right for two people who genuinely love each other but are being torn apart by lies and manipulation. As Ariana watches Tate suffer in complete confusion and heartbreak, totally oblivious that the girl he loves is scheduled to board an international flight within hours, the burden of her secret knowledge becomes increasingly unbearable and weighs heavily on her conscience. The moral dilemma becomes even more complicated and urgent when evidence begins surfacing that strongly suggests Sophia has been systematically lying about far more than anyone previously realized, including potentially the true biological paternity of baby Tesoro. If Ariana discovers through conversations with Johnny and his wife Chanel Dupree that Sophia was actually the person who sent those humiliating sexually explicit messages from Holly's phone, deliberately framing her innocent friend for behavior she never engaged in, Ariana will almost certainly feel morally obligated to break her promise to Holly in order to prevent an innocent person from being driven out of town by malicious lies and calculated manipulation. Days of Our Lives spoilers strongly indicate that Ariana will indeed have an extremely significant and game-changing update for Tate on Friday, the exact same day that Holly is scheduled to leave for the airport, creating an intense ticking clock scenario where Ariana must make a split-second decision about whether to intervene before it becomes too late to stop Holly's departure. The explosive truth about the baby. The most shocking and game-changing piece of information that Tate will reveal to Holly at the airport involves the stunning DNA test results that definitively prove he never biologically fathered Sophia's baby, meaning that her entire sob story about him abandoning his child was built on a foundation of deliberate lies. Sarah Horton conducted a comprehensive DNA test that provided irrefutable scientific evidence conclusively proving that Tate shares absolutely no biological relationship with baby Tesoro, which means everything Sophia told him about being the father was a complete and utter fabrication designed to manipulate his emotions and control his behavior. When Sarah confronted Sophia with this undeniable scientific proof, Sophia was eventually forced to admit there was another candidate for fatherhood, though she stubbornly and suspiciously refused to reveal the actual father's identity to Sarah, raising even more questions about what else she might be hiding. Many devoted Days of Our Lives fans strongly suspect that Aaron Green, who is Tate's best friend and one of the only other teenage boys Sophia has been shown interacting with on screen, is the true biological father of baby Tesoro, though Sophia has reasons for keeping this information hidden. This revelation that Tate never got Sophia pregnant completely demolishes the foundation of guilt and obligation that had been controlling his decisions and behavior for months, freeing him to pursue his relationship with Holly without the constant shadow of supposed baby mama drama hanging over them. Sophia's complete exposure. When the full devastating scope of Sophia's elaborate web of lies and manipulations becomes public knowledge throughout Salem, the social and personal consequences for her will be absolutely catastrophic and irreversible. Not only did Sophia deliberately lie about Tate being the biological father of her baby, weaponizing his sense of responsibility and decency against him, but she also systematically manipulated Holly into believing that she and Tate had engaged in sexual relations when in reality they had only shared one single kiss that Tate immediately regretted. Sophia stole Holly's phone and used it as a weapon to send sexually explicit and inappropriate messages to Johnny DiMera, deliberately manufacturing a scandal that would damage Holly's academic career, personal reputation, and relationships with everyone who mattered in her life. The revelation of these calculated and cruel manipulations will unite Holly, Tate, Johnny, Chanel, Brady, and potentially others in their collective outrage at how one manipulative teenager systematically destroyed lives, relationships, and reputations to serve her own selfish romantic agenda. Many Days of Our Lives viewers have commented extensively on social media that Tate displayed shocking and almost unbelievable naivety in trusting Sophia's claims without demanding concrete proof or questioning her stories more aggressively, with fans suggesting he inherited this overly trusting and easily manipulated nature from his father Brady Black, who himself has an extensive documented history of being deceived and controlled by scheming women throughout his adult life. The grand romantic gesture. Tate will make his grand romantic gesture at the airport when he finally learns that Holly is literally minutes away from boarding an international flight to Paris that would remove her from his life potentially forever. Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that Tate physically holds Holly's face in both of his hands, his eyes filled with desperate tears as he begs her not to get on that plane, pleading with her to give him just 5 minutes to explain truths that will completely shatter everything she currently believes about their relationship and Sophia's role in tearing them apart. This emotionally charged airport confrontation represents Tate's absolute last opportunity to stop Holly from leaving, to reveal the shocking DNA test results proving he never fathered Sophia's baby, and to confess that he only kissed Sophia in a misguided attempt to get information rather than sleeping with her as Sophia claimed. The presence of Maggie, Sarah, and Ariana at the airport creates additional emotional weight to the scene, as Holly realizes that multiple people who genuinely love her have all rushed to this location specifically to convince her that staying in Salem and fighting for her happiness is worth more than running away to start over in Paris. Salem's next super couple in the making. Once all of Sophia's lies are completely exposed and the truth about everything finally comes to light, Tate and Holly will have the opportunity to reconcile and potentially establish themselves as Salem's next legendary super couple destined to captivate audiences for years to come. Many devoted Days of Our Lives fans firmly believe that Tate and Holly possess that rare and indefinable twin flame quality that sets truly special couples apart from ordinary teenage romances, suggesting they have the potential for real staying power and emotional depth that could sustain them through future challenges. Their shared experiences of being targeted, manipulated, and nearly destroyed by the same person will actually strengthen their bond rather than weakening it, creating a foundation of mutual understanding, resilience, and trust that many couples never develop. If Holly ultimately decides to stay in Salem rather than fleeing to Paris, it will represent a powerful turning point in her character development where she chooses to stand her ground, fight for her own happiness, and refuse to allow lies and manipulation to drive her away from the people and places she loves. The airport scene will likely conclude with a passionate reconciliation where Tate and Holly finally clear the air about all the devastating misunderstandings that have plagued them, renewing their commitment to face future obstacles together as a united team rather than allowing outside forces to divide them again.